That's the moment the silence changes its meaning. What once felt like distance becomes consequence. She thought your quiet was weakness. She thought your absence was anger. But what she never understood, brother, is that a good man doesn't walk away to prove a point. He walks away because he's empty from trying. You see, when a man leaves with pride, he comes back the same. But when a man leaves with pain, he never returns as who he was. Something inside him breaks, reshapes, hardens. And that change? It echoes louder than any words he could have spoken. Tell me, have you ever watched a woman realize she's no longer the center of your world? The confusion in her eyes when your name stops showing up? The moment she sends that first message, and your reply doesn't carry the same warmth? That's not revenge, that's evolution. That's the quiet turning point where a good man reclaims his peace. At first, she'll pretend she doesn't care. She'll post, laugh, distract herself. But when the night grows quiet and the world stops watching, that's when truth visits her, softly, painfully. She didn't just lose a man, she lost the one who saw her. And brother, once a man who loves deeply learns silence, there's no going back. Drop a 1 if you've felt this silence before. Drop a 2 if you've learned it's your greatest weapon. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station, where we decode the psychology of love, loss, and masculine peace. Start this journey now. Stage 1. Denial. She tells herself he'll come back, that good men always do. In her mind, this silence is just a pause, not an ending, so she fills it with noise. New people, new routines, anything that distracts her from the ache she can't name. For a while, it works. Her phone lights up, her calendar stays full, and her laughter sounds convincing enough. But when the noise fades, reality doesn't. The truth sits quietly in the corners of her mind, whispering what she doesn't want to face. No one understands her the way he did. No one hears the sadness behind her strength or notices the tremor in her calm. And slowly, denial gives way to clarity. She didn't just lose a man, she lost the one who saw her before she saw herself. The silence that once felt temporary now echoes with meaning, and that's where her awakening begins. Stage 2. Emotional shift. What once felt like control now feels like punishment. She used to enjoy the distance, mistaking his silence for attention withheld, believing she still held the upper hand. But this time his absence doesn't feel like waiting. It feels like peace without her. He's no longer watching her stories, no longer online when she is, no longer reacting to the games that once pulled him in. She scrolls through his profile, searching for proof that she still matters, but all she finds is calm. And that calm becomes her torment, because peace, when found by someone you once broke, always echoes louder. That's when she begins to understand. He didn't go silent to hurt her, he went silent to heal. Stage 3. The reversal. The power has shifted, and she feels it in ways she can't explain. For months, she dismissed his love like it would never run out, thinking his patience had no end. But now, every message he once sent replays in her mind like echoes in an empty room. The warmth that once comforted her now burns as absence, and the silence she once found amusing starts to weigh heavy on her chest. She thought he'd always chase, that forgiveness was infinite for a man who loved deeply. But a good man doesn't stop caring. He stops trying when it starts costing his peace, and that's when everything reverses. The man who once waited now walks freely, and she's left chasing the ghost of her own choices. The silence she once ignored has become her teacher, and it's teaching her the sound of regret, the kind that arrives only when it's far too late. Stage 4. The realization. The pain doesn't come when he leaves, it comes when he doesn't look back. She waits for anger, for an argument, for for any sign that she still lives somewhere in his emotions, but nothing comes. Instead, he's calm, centered, almost untouchable, and that quiet confidence unsettles her more than any goodbye ever could. For the first time, she sees the man she took for granted, the one who listened when she had no words, who protected her when she didn't deserve it, who understood her when she couldn't explain herself. Those memories now cut deeper because she knows no one will ever see her like he did. Acceptance begins as pain. It always does. But beneath that pain lies truth. He didn't leave to win or to make her miss him. He left because he finally understood that love cannot heal what refuses to change. And that truth, brother, is what finally breaks her silence. Stage 5. The contrast. He's growing. She's pretending. Outwardly, she looks fine, smiling in pictures, laughing in groups, posting quotes about strength and self-love. But inside, she's unraveling quietly, one thought at a time. Meanwhile, he isn't performing for anyone. He's not posting to prove a point, not chasing validation, not trying to look happy. He simply is, calm, grounded, focused. And that's what unsettles her most. Because she used to be his peace, but now she's haunted by it. Every time she opens her phone and sees the reflection of his quiet progress, something inside her tightens. Every picture where he looks content, every post where he looks lighter, makes her realize that he's found something she's still searching for. She thought pretending not to care would make the pain fade. Instead, it only deepened the truth she's been avoiding all along. She was never ready for the kind of love he gave. A love steady, patient, unconditional. She wanted control, not connection, validation, not vulnerability. Now she watches from afar as he chooses himself, just as she once chose her ego. That's the sting no words can soften, the realization that he's not angry, not broken, just free. The universe doesn't punish her, it mirrors her. Everything she's feeling now is what he once felt. The difference is, he faced it, he healed it, and he grew from it. And as she scrolls through his calm, the truth settles heavy in her chest. What she's seeing isn't his revenge, it's her reflection. Stage 6. His healing. There comes a moment when a man stops explaining himself. After being misunderstood, doubted, and taken for granted, he realizes words no longer serve him. So he withdraws, not in weakness, but in wisdom. He stops defending his worth and starts rebuilding it quietly. His days grow simpler but sharper, his body grows stronger, his purpose clearer. The same silence that once felt empty now feels sacred. It's where he meets himself again. The peace he used to chase from others, he now creates within. Every ounce of love he once gave away, he pours back into discipline, focus, and presence. And somewhere in that solitude, the shift begins. His peace no longer depends on who stays or leaves. It becomes the foundation of who he is, and that's when she starts to notice. The calm that once comforted her now belongs entirely to him. Stage 7. The shift. She used to be his reason, now she's just a memory. The words she sends still sound gentle, filled with nostalgia, but they no longer carry the same power. They reach him, yet land on calm waters that no longer ripple for her. He replies with kindness, not bitterness, just a quiet distance that speaks volumes. She feels it instantly. The space between them isn't cold, it's evolved. What she mistakes for indifference is actually growth. The man who once needed her validation now walks in his own gravity, centered, composed, and untouched by the storms that once defined him. And that realization shakes her to her core, because the same silence she once used to control him has become the wall she can't climb. She learns, far too late, that a man who heals no longer fights for closure. He simply outgrows the chaos that once consumed him. The The silence she used to weaponize has turned into his sanctuary, a place where he no longer seeks to be understood, only to be at peace. When a man truly finds that kind of peace, he becomes unreachable, not because he's hiding, but because he's healed. And the woman who once thought she owned his heart now faces the truth. He didn't move on to forget her. He moved on to remember himself. Stage 8. The psychological mirror. Regret doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up in the quiet spaces of her life, slipping between moments that should feel peaceful. She catches glimpses of him in strangers on the street, hears echoes of his voice in familiar songs, and feels his calm presence invade her dreams. Every time she thinks she's moved on, life has a way of reminding her she hasn't. Each new man she meets only reinforces what's missing. They might be charming, attentive, even kind, but none of them see her the way he did. They don't notice the shift in her tone when she's tired, the silence that hides behind her laughter, or the way her eyes give away what her mouth won't say. That's the curse of losing a good man. Life doesn't punish her, it teaches her. It keeps showing her what almost looks like. Almost gentle, almost patient, almost safe. But almost never feels like home. It's the cruel irony of life that when you lose someone genuine, the universe mirrors their absence through everyone who comes after, and she starts to feel it, how he wasn't just a man, he was a mirror that reflected her best self back to her. Without him, that reflection is gone, replaced by fragments of what used to be whole. She used to believe love was about possession, having someone to call hers. But now, through sleepless nights and fleeting connections, she begins to understand that real love was never about ownership. It was about presence. It was about the energy that steadied her when her world was falling apart. And his absence now speaks louder than all her words combined. The silence he left behind isn't emptiness, it's truth. It reminds her of the difference between being wanted for a moment and being valued for a lifetime. Every time she checks his profile, searching for something, anything that feels familiar, she realizes how much she's changed, not because she's healed, but because she's haunted. Haunted by the peace he once offered and the calm he now carries without her. She tells herself he's forgotten her, but deep down she knows the truth. He didn't forget, he just accepted. And that acceptance is something she can't match, so she keeps searching. She compares every smile, every touch, every word to his, even when she swears she's done. The faces change, but the feeling never does, because she's not chasing new love. She's chasing the reflection of what she lost, and the more she runs, the clearer it becomes. She's not escaping him. She's running in circles inside his memory. The man she once overlooked has become the standard her heart refuses to lower. She used to seek validation, craving to be seen and adored. Now she faces the truth with painful clarity. He was the stability in a world built on temporary people. He was the quiet voice that calmed her chaos, the steady presence that never demanded recognition. And in losing him, she didn't just lose love, she lost balance, safety, and the rare kind of peace that only a genuine soul can bring. That's the hardest part of losing a good man. It's not just that he's gone, it's that she now sees herself through his eyes and realizes how deeply she was loved and how carelessly she let it slip away. Life keeps sending her reminders, not out of cruelty, but out of truth. Because until she learns what real love feels like, every connection will be a reflection, not a replacement. And that's when she finally understands. The universe doesn't take without reason. It takes to reveal. It takes to mirror back the parts of herself she abandoned. And what she's seeing now isn't just him. It's the reflection of who she could have been if she had loved him better. Stage 9. the universal truth. Nothing haunts a woman like the peace of a man who healed without her. It's the quiet truth she never saw coming, the one no one warns you about. She thought time would make him softer, more forgiving, maybe even nostalgic enough to reach back. But time didn't make him miss her. It made him whole. Time gave him space to rebuild the parts of himself that loving her once tore apart. While she was convincing herself that silence was his punishment, he was using that silence as his sanctuary. He learned to live without the noise of drama, without the constant need to prove himself, without the ache of trying to be understood by someone who had already stopped listening. Now, when she looks at him, she doesn't see the anger she expected. There's no bitterness, no resentment, no trace of the boy who once begged for clarity. Instead, she sees calm, acceptance so pure it feels unreachable, and that's what truly breaks her. Because closure doesn't come when he talks again. It comes when he no longer needs to. The moment he stopped explaining himself was the moment she lost her hold on him forever. She used to believe closure came from words, from one last conversation, one last confession, one last chance to make things right. But now she understands that real closure is silence, the kind that comes when the heart no longer searches for validation. Late at night, she scrolls through his photos, not to judge, not to analyze, but to remember, to whisper to herself, "I had the real thing." She sees the glow in his face, the steadiness in his eyes, the quiet power in his presence. He's changed, but not in the way she hoped. He's not trying to prove anything to her anymore. His peace isn't performance. It's a product of pain transformed into purpose. And as much as she tries to look away, she can't, because nothing is louder than the silence of a man who has moved on with grace. The irony is, he never wanted revenge. He never wanted her to suffer or feel small. All he ever wanted was peace. And in finding it, he became something she can no longer touch. He's not bitter. He's not broken. He's just better. And that difference is what hurts her most. She used to be the center of his world, the gravity that pulled him in. Now he walks in his own orbit, steady and unshaken, and she's left wondering when the roles reversed. She can't understand how the same man who once lost sleep over her can now rest so peacefully. But that's what real healing looks like. It's quiet, consistent and invisible until it's undeniable. He didn't rise to prove her wrong. He rose to find peace, and in that peace he discovered his strength. The kind of strength that doesn't shout or seek recognition. It simply exists, solid, calm, and untouchable. That's the universal truth most people learn too late. Peace is not given, it's earned through surrender. It's built in silence, brick by brick, until it replaces the pain that once defined you. And when a man reaches that level of peace, he no longer fits in the spaces that broke him. She'll always wonder if she could have done something different. But deep down, she knows. He gave her every chance to meet him halfway. She was too caught up in proving her independence to realize he was offering partnership, not control. And now, the lesson stands in front of her in the form of his peace. The very calm she used to take for granted has become the thing she longs for most. So she watches from afar, quietly, regretfully, knowing that the chapter she closed too soon became the foundation of his new life. He doesn't gloat, he doesn't reminisce. He simply moves forward, softer but stronger, lighter but deeper. And that's the quiet beauty of it all. He didn't rise out of spite. He rose out of love, for himself, for growth, for peace. And somewhere deep inside, she finally understands the truth she spent so long avoiding. Peace isn't what he found after her. Peace is what he became because he finally let her go. Brother, this story isn't about revenge, it's about evolution. When you stopped explaining, the power shifted. She kept chasing control while you found calm. She performed peace while you became it. That's what happens when a man stops reacting and starts rebuilding. You learned that silence isn't weakness, it's clarity. You stopped waiting for her to understand and started understanding yourself. The pain that once broke you became your foundation. You didn't heal to prove her wrong, you healed to find peace. So, if you're in that quiet phase now, don't fight it. This is where strength is born, in stillness, not noise. Let her remember, you just keep rising. Because a man who finds peace no longer needs to be seen. His silence already speaks for him. If any of this spoke to you, if you've seen these signs in your own story, then you already know what comes next. Don't stop here. Keep walking, keep building, keep becoming the man your silence was meant to reveal. Drop your thoughts in the comments, brother. Your story might be the strength another man needs tonight. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station and start this journey now. Because peace isn't the end. It's the beginning of who you were always meant to be.